Ilhan Omar appears on Mehdi Hassan's podcast, and they have an interview where they discuss Charlie Kirk, and it is the most disgusting take that I've seen so far coming from public figures about Charlie Kirk. We're going to play the entire segment for you to listen to, and then we're going to go into a blow by blow commentary on each of the points that they put out. So I hope you stick around for the commentary, and let's jump right into this.
What I do know for sure is that, Charlie was someone who once said, guns save lives after a school shooting. Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist. And I think, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
Complete rewriting of history.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up, than to completely pretend that his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so. And
all right, so we've gone through the full clip, and we're going to do a blow by blow breakdown of the things that she and Mehdi Hassan discuss in this clip.
What I do know for sure is that Charlie was someone who once said, guns save lives after a school shooting.
Right off the bat, she's mentioning the fact that Charlie made a statement during a debate, and they're pulling that statement out of context. And this is what the left does. They take something you said, frame it differently, and make it look like you're the most despicable person on the planet. She mentions the fact that this was said after a school shooting. But if you were to go into that conversation and find out what was actually said, you would see that Charlie would have separated that statement effectively from the incident that happened at the school. So I decided to do a quick fact check on Ilhan Omar's statement about Charlie Kirk's claim that guns save lives right after a school shooting happened. And this is just another display of the abundant hypocrisy and evil lies that they like to tell about conservatives. So, following a school shooting in Nashville in 2023, Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist and founder of Turning Point, made comments at a TPUSA event on April 5th, 2023 that have been widely discussed. Representative Ilhan Omar claimed Kirk said guns save lives after the shooting. While Kirk did not use this exact phrase in the referenced remarks, he expressed a strong defense of Second Amendment rights, stating, now this is the quote, "I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It's rational." He argued that in an armed citizenry inherently comes with the cost of some gun violence, which he deemed acceptable to preserve constitutional protections. Kirk also suggested that the school shootings could be reduced not by gun control laws, but by measures like having armed guards at schools, pointing out that places like banks and airports have such security. This is exactly what Charlie Kirk said, and Ilhan Omar basically lied and tried to make it look like he was celebrating guns in the face of the catastrophe. Charlie Kirk is someone who told the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it was, and he did say that in a society where you have these rights, you will definitely have some gun violence, and that is the truth. He wasn't a politician trying to lie to you to get his own way. He simply told the truth. If you have cars in a society you will have car accidents. If you have knives in a society, you will have stabbings of some sorts. And that is exactly what happens when you also have guns. But the guns exist in order to protect other rights like the First Amendment rights.
Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard.
Now, this was a criminal, a career criminal who pointed a gun at the tummy of a pregnant woman. That's who Mehdi Hassan and Ilhan Omar are defending. If someone did that to my wife while she was pregnant, I would be perfectly fine with somebody calling them a scumbag. You don't point a gun at the belly of a pregnant woman. That's who the Democrats keep supporting, running interference for criminals. And yet again, they would put George Floyd above Charlie Kirk, because here's what they're doing. He said that, therefore, how dare he say that about Saint George Floyd? This is what they really think of Charlie Kirk. They think that he is less honorable than George Floyd. George Floyd was a career criminal, a drug addict and peddler with a long history of criminal activity. That's who their ideal citizen is.
Downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist.
Again, another statement taken out of context. Saying that Juneteenth shouldn't exist is not downplaying slavery. But then again, what they're doing here is doing their level best to make sure that the memory of Charlie Kirk is tarnished. They're essentially saying this person is not deserving of the honor and the memory that is being given to him. These people are honestly a horrible bunch of people.
And I think, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
A complete rewriting of history.
And there you see how they are rewriting history. All you have to do is go up and pull up all of Charlie Kirk's videos and his debates. But sadly, the people who watch Mehdi Hassan will take his word for it. They would believe that he's done the research and he's telling them the truth. And so what he says is law. Now, I know that in my videos, I say, do your own research. Go watch something that confirms or doesn't confirm what is being claimed, either on my video or on the clips that I've been putting out. But I felt that I should give you an example of how these people are lying to their audience. Now, this is just one of thousands and thousands of videos that shows Charlie Kirk's method of engaging in civil discourse. They say that he isn't respectful and that people who say that his debates were easygoing and kind and all he wanted to engage in was civil discourse, and they claim that they are rewriting history. This is just one video of thousands and thousands of videos that are exactly the same tone, not confrontational, simply asking questions and asking for answers and giving his own opinion. So I'm going to play this for those of you who have never seen a Charlie Kirk video.
I just want to say I'm a transgender male. What age should kids be able to get things like hormone therapy? Because I don't know what's true, what's not.
Tell me, are you comfortable telling me your story?
I've known that since like 3rd grade. And I'm currently 19, almost 20. I've known basically since then. I didn't start going by like a different name until 7th and 8th grade. I just don't know, like with the whole medical stuff, like what's true, what's not, what's helpful, because I've heard so many different opinions.
First of all, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to have an opinion that very few people will ever tell you, which is I want you to be very cautious putting drugs into your system in the pursuit of changing your body. I instead encourage you to work on what's going on in your brain first. I think what you need first and foremost is just a diagnosis. Just someone that is going to listen to what you've gone through, listen to what else is going on. My prayer for you, this, and again, very few people will say this, I actually want to see you be comfortable in how you were born.
Yeah.
I know that you might not feel that way, but I think that is something that you can achieve. I think that with the right team and the right people, you don't have to wage war on your body. You can learn to love your body.
Oh, the horror. Oh, the intolerance. Oh, the hate. That's what they want you to hear. And Mehdi Hassan and Ilhan Omar want you to believe that what he just said is hateful, is bigoted, and anyone that tells you exactly what just happened in this video and thousands of others are attempting to rewrite history. Mehdi Hassan clearly despises Charlie Kirk's Christian values and his position politically. And so he will do everything in his power to make sure that his position, even posthumously, is as watered down and as disregarded as he can possibly make it. The man hasn't even been buried, and they're doing this to his legacy.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up, than to completely pretend that his words and actions have not been recorded. and
Yes, they have been recorded. The internet is full of them, and you guys can't change any of that. But what you're trying to do here is let your listeners know that he's not worth listening to. So you put in the fact that, there's history, there's recordings, and we're telling you that it's horrible. And you know what? They know that their listeners don't do their own research. And so they can say this and get away with it. I guarantee you that once their listeners begin to do their own research and go out there and actually watch the videos, they would try to they would be asking, what exactly am I seeing here? This isn't like what I was told.
And in existence for the last decade or so. And
I'm glad that Charlie recorded his thoughts and put them all on the internet. We have the privilege of going in there and watching everything that he thought and said about most of the hot button issues in the society. It is actually despicable that we still have people who can go out here online and say all of these things about a man who clearly didn't say any of the things that they mentioned in the context that they were framing his statements in. These are the talking heads that all of the individuals on social media who have been posting those horrific memes and horrific statements on social media celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. These are the channels and these are the voices that they listen to. They believe these people and they literally think that Charlie Kirk deserved what he got. MSNBC had someone saying that, when you put out hateful words and hateful feelings, that, don't be surprised when you get attacked for it. That is what they believe. And you know what? They're all secretly happy that Charlie was assassinated. How do I know it? You can see it, on full display. This is the first interview that they're doing about this, and they can't help themselves. They have to dance on a man's grave and attempt to smear his reputation. I've said again and again in the videos that I've made over the last few hours that the left's apologies should not be believed, because again and again, they've shown that they lack the capacity for self-introspection, and all of the things that they've been saying for the last few hours is just political theater. If they had succeeded in assassinating President Trump last year, these are the kinds of things that they would have been saying about him. They would not have been celebrating his memory. They wouldn't even have the decency of allowing his family to have good memories of him, or his followers to have good memories of him. They would get right to smearing his name and reminding everyone how evil they believed he was, and claiming that there's evidence out there on the internet to prove that he was as evil as they've been saying all along. As far as Ilhan Omar and Mehdi Hassan are concerned, Charlie Kirk's assassination is proof positive that he was as bad as they had said he was. This is heartbreaking, but we have to report on all of this because do you know what? As we do a posthumous on what led up to the attack on Charlie Kirk and what the future of the United States really looks like, we have to do some forensics on what kind of rhetoric is out there that generates this kind of behavior in the public discourse. And it's great to pick up on these conversations because this is the source of the information of most of these individuals on social media saying all the horrible things that we've seen over the last 24 hours. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Let me know your thoughts on this interview. I know that I paused it a lot to run commentary, but I would love for you to give me your thoughts on this, and I'll catch you on the next one.